Good evening, everybody. How are you feeling? After a good music and a song, it's very difficult for me to start with economics. So let me start with a quote, a key life lesson which I learned from one of my favorite books, Notes from a Friend, by Anthony Robbins. No problem is permanent, no problem affects your entire life, and this too shall pass if you continue to take positive and massive and constructive action. Do you all know that you had a financial slowdown a couple of years back? Is Qatar facing a financial slowdown? How many of you agree with that? So every economy in this world has some kind of an expansion during some period of time and some kind of a contraction during some period. This is a business cycle, okay? There is boom, there is recession, there is slump, there is recovery, again boom, again recession. It's not something unnatural, but it's natural. And when there is expansion, every macroeconomic variables move together. And when it is gloomy stage, when it is depression or recession, everything is gloomy. And years back, when it was only capitalist economies in this world, when something happens to a capitalist country, it won't affect the underdeveloped countries or the developing economies. But today, it's not like that. If something happens in the developed economy, it affects the underdeveloped or the developing economy. Why is it so? It's a globalized world. It's all globalized economies. Now, if you see this chart, it's about the world real GDP from 2006 to 2014. And it was during recession. You can see in the year 2009, there is a great dip in the real GDP. It affected all the economies. And recession is when you have consecutive 2 negative GDP growth. And almost all the economies had. And another country, which is Greece, still have it. It has unemployment and it has negative GDP since 2008. So the global economic slowdown, which started in 2007, has created a lot of unemployment. But it does not end here. Past 100 years, we had 10 recessions. And out of that, 4 major ones are from 1970s. So we have to move on. We have uncertainty, we have threat, but there is an opportunity lying there. Today I'm going to talk about the emerging economies. Which are the emerging economies in the world? India, China, or the BRIC countries, so Brazil, Russia, India, and China. But I don't want to stop it there. I want to include all the developing economies as emerging economies. Because it all have prospects to grow. It all has prospects. It has opportunities to grow. It has to encash it. So all these economies are investing their money in infrastructure, they are investing money in education, they are investing money in a lot of offshore and online services. So it's not the BRIC countries which is emerging. There are many economies, 130 economies in the world which are emerging. Okay? But the sad part is that because it's a globalized environment, and all due to the business cycle, 6 to 10 years, everything is fine. We are prosperous, we are booming, everything is fine. But after that, what happens? Suddenly, there is a decline in economic activities. It can last from 6 months to 2 years. So it's a way of life, but we need to move on. But the unfortunate part is the income inequality. There is a lot of inequality in the world. The inequality is so wide that we can imagine. When we talk about income inequality, it's not between the countries alone. It is between the countries, it is within the countries. There is a lot of inequality. We can see that the rich are becoming richer, the poor are becoming poorer, and the middle income group are the most affected. There was a research by Emmanuel Size on the year 2009 to 2012. It says that the 1% people in this world has captured 91% growth since 2009 to 2012. That shows the gravity of inequality. So where this world is heading to, when we talk a lot about development, it's not an actual development as such. It's a lot of unbalanced development. It's all about inequality. There is a widening gap. And it's true about the emerging economies also. All these 120 developing economies, they're also suffering a lot. They are the worst sufferers. Now when we take the top 10 ranked emerging markets, you can see India is the topmost among all 10. You can see India, you can see Brazil, China, and Russia as the top 4. When we take the report of International Labour Organization Global Employment Report, it says that out of the 7.3 billion people in this world, only 3 billion are employed. And the rest may not be in the working population, but there are a huge chunk of people who are not working also. There is a relationship between growth of population and employment. As population increases, you get lesser share from the GDP, and then the wage also decreases. Recession is another battle which the emerging economies has to face. But there is a light which had shined during the recession. That is the service sector. There are 3 sectors in an economy. As you all know, the industry sector, the agriculture sector, and the service sector. When you take the developed economy or the developing economy, you can see that the developing economies, all the developing economies, it's all going good in terms of service sector. Why is it so? The service sector contributes nearly 50 to 70% of the GDP. And during recession, it is an amazing fact to know that the service sector had not had a negative growth. In almost all the economies, service sector had a positive growth. And in case of India, can you see where India was? The India in 2009, there is a peak of global slowdown. India and China stood at the topmost in the real GDP growth. And it's all about the service sector. And in this service sector, Indian IT export has a big contribution. The Indian IT export is a good business model to almost all the sectors. It has shown to the world that how you can have an opportunity in a threat. The Indian IT export has shown us that by capturing new export destination, not only the US or the Europe zone, by covering new and emerging industry verticals, increased global delivery channels, competitive customer-centric approaches, improved service quality, adoption of new technologies, through all these things, you can actually capture a very good service sector growth. And through this, the Indian IT sector proved that it can contribute to the real GDP, and it can actually hold the GDP by not going into a recession. And it is the resilience of the Indian IT export which has actually held India during the recession. Don't you feel to give a clap for India? So it's all about service outsourcing. If you take any economy, developed economies for that matter, to do a job there, it will cost 4 times than the 4 times cost than the job which is done in the developing economy. If you hire a person locally, you have to pay him more than you pay for an indigenous person from a less developed country. Now it's all about service outsourcing. Outsourcing in general is actually transforming the entire service to an external provider. And during recession, what these companies in the developed countries did was that, as part of their austerity practices to reduce the operational costs, they did outsource the services to the less developed countries. By lowering the cost of resources from competitively cheap locations. And we know that in today's world, technology is not that far. We all are in the smart world. We all use phones. But there are many people who are MCAs, who are BTech engineering, sitting at home without doing a job. This is the opportunity which we need to capture. Take any countries for that matter, Kenya, Haiti or Caribbean, all these have infrastructure. They are all booming in technology. This is a great opportunity for these countries. So Smart World had made the entire factors of production, be it land, labor, capital, or organization, into a virtual world of production. Trading services enable this cross-border exchange of services. You can get any services through cross-border. You can get it in a flip of time. You don't need to wait for anything. It's all available now. And now, all this tells that outsourcing has been come out as an emerging service during the recession. And this is a great model. This is a great model which has come out from the IT itself, Indian IT exports. So outsourcing, can it be used in other emerging services? Can it be used in finance? Can it be used in retail? Can it be used in tourism? Can it be used in, why is it only to IT? It can be used in all the other business models. Now, what is the benefit of these countries, the emerging countries, if they are going to rely on service outsourcing? Some countries can focus on high-value activities such as research and development based on their infrastructure, while other countries can go for knowledge-intensive processes, while others who are really competitive in labor can focus on that. They can prioritize the service education. Each government can prioritize on service education on international standards. So this enabled each country to focus on quality education and quality labor who can really work on the developed countries, not in IT alone, not in retail alone, in business, in finance, in many fields. So quality labor, growing infrastructure, and improved technology and communication. If these 3 factors are there, the country is good to go for a technology outsourcing, for a service outsourcing, for any education-related outsourcing. Now, the client-side exploration of this opportunity. Why should the clients, be it a developed country, explore this opportunity? As I told in the beginning, during recession, many clients use this technology, use this technique of outsourcing to reduce the operational cost. Now take a small business, or a medium business for that matter, or take a startup or non-profit institution. Can they have a high operational cost and do their business by hiring somebody who is very costly? Can they have a high operational cost because just the process cost is very high? They cannot. They cannot afford to do that. They need to hire somebody which they can get from a cheaper location. So the major benefits are cutting down cost, increased profit margin, and the good quality. If the profit margin is good, the company makes a lot of profit and it grows. If the profit margin decreases, that means the company has only a short-lived future. Now when you hire somebody from your indigenous locality, you are actually having a very high cost because that person, the recruitment procedure, your benefits, your social costs, everything will be very high. You need to actually spend a lot when you hire somebody indigenously. But when you are hiring somebody from outside, that especially from the less developed countries, what happens is that that person is not going to demand high cost from you. That person is not going to take a lot of cost from you. You will have a reduced operational expenses. Now, when we take it's minimum 4 times cheaper than the existing one. It's an addition of best practices. You will have new processes in place. If you take India for that matter, India is the best country with good certifications, be it ISO, IATL, the CMMI, a lot of standards. It embraces a lot of standards. There is micro work distribution and management. But the catch here is that if you have an unmanaged outsourcing, it's a very, very, very big danger which you're going to do. You have to have a managed outsourcing. You need to have the ground rules in place. Otherwise, what will happen is that it will go out of your control. Now, the collective approach to deal the service outsourcing is that there should be international collective approach. There should be bilateral relationship. Now, the opportunities are explored in terms of IT only. Why not the other services? There should be a lot of exploration in this matter. There should be a lot of the opportunities there in this thread, and the research should prove it. And now it's for us to take entrepreneurial skills in place. Through all these activities, you are actually bringing equality. The bilateral relations focusing on exchanging opportunities on comparative advantage. Comparative advantage is between countries. And when you explore it, you will be benefiting each other. Emerging economies should focus more on international education. Now, when we take education for that matter, we still are in the era of primary education. We are not focusing on technology-related education as such. Why not these companies, big companies, start up their own universities? Why not these institutions start up their own schools and train the people so that they can empower them to start up something new? Now, as part of corporate social responsibility, if we see the companies, it's all limited to environment or something related to women protection or employee management or something like that. Why can't it be equality? Why can't it be on income inequality? Why can't we focus? Why can't the companies focus on reducing the income inequality? So CSR, as part of the corporate social responsibility, the companies will be managing the entire process of bringing new, less developed, developing countries in the picture in their business operation and include them in the social mission. And thereby, they will be aligning into the global social mission. But the catch here is that, again, the trade and policies should be under control. There should be strict trade policies. Otherwise, what will happen is that there are chances for these companies to exploit the developing nations. Now, before summarizing, let me throw to you a big summary. The rich countries are there. The rich are very, very big. It's not 1%, it's not 2%. They manage the 90% of the GDP. Even if they are 1%, they manage the 90% GDP of the world. And when we see the poor countries, the emerging economies, they have the prospects, but they are not able to manage it. They are not able to explore the opportunities. If you take the GDP per capita, what is the GDP per capita of Qatar? 140,000 odd, dollars. It's the highest in the world. And when you compare it with an African country, Central African Republic, it is just $604. That is the inequality which exists in the world. We live in a country which is very, very rich. And there are many countries which are very poor. If you take the example of disposable income and adopt this idea to an economy which is very rich. Let me tell you, will it make any difference for a developed country by increasing their disposable income from $3 to $5 per day? For an American economy, if a person is working there, if you increase their disposable income from $3 to $5, will it make a change? Will it make a change? It won't make a change, but it makes a change in a developing economy. There are many countries in the world, especially the developed countries, against outsourcing. They tell that we are actually uprooting their own job. But the whole world is in poverty. The whole world is in unemployment. It's not just America or the UK or the Europe. The whole world has unemployment. So if you give $3 to $5 more to American economy, it doesn't make a difference. But for an underdeveloped economy, that makes a lot of difference. That is good education for their kid. That is good, decent living for their people. So people need sure jobs, not money. If you take international provisions or the social provisions which the government give, it is just short relief. They need sure jobs. And you can make a change by making service outsourcing to emerging economies. Thank you.